Okay, so it is. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It's not working. Video. Mm-mm. Mm-hmm. Can anybody hear me out there? Can you guys hear me? Let me see. Just a thumbs up or something. Mm-hmm. No trabajo. Can you guys hear me out there? Thank you so much. Gracias, Pablo Escobar. Thank you so much. That's good. You can hear me, right? Can you hear me, Pablo Escobar? Yes, super. All right, guys. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back once again to the Watch Market Update. Before I get into the show, please don't forget to give us a big thumbs up. If you would like to, give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. You won't regret this channel. This channel only brings real knowledge, real content. None of that wishy-washy stuff, And we're going to get into the show right now. And we're going to be talking about precious metal materials. And I want you guys to know that silver, ladies and gentlemen, silver is at $48 a troy ounce, all right? $48 a troy ounce. Just to let you guys know what's happening with silver. $48 a troy ounce. I'm gonna get tired of telling you 1,000 times that $48 a troy ounce is the silver. And ladies and gentlemen, we have platinum. Platinum is also becoming kind of scary because right now platinum is at $1,644 and going up. And going up. So it's something that you guys have to keep your eyes open if you are involved in precious metal materials. Ladies and gentlemen, gold today has reached the number of $3,914 a troy ounce. Okay, $3,914. So, wow, there you go. We're going to be talking about that today. You saw your yacht master, and I'm going to be talking about something that's very, very important. And I think that we should start talking about it already because you're telling me that you sold your yacht master. And I want you to know that today I went to my friend's pawn shop. He has a pawn shop, and he sells watches and diamonds, and he pawns. And he called me up because he wanted me to stop by his shop to show me something. So I applied and I went to see him. I went to see him, and he was there with a customer. He was there with a customer of his. Eh, I'm gonna say this to you guys in a real. If you guys don't have to sell your gold, don't sell it. If you need to sell it because you need money, then go ahead, sell your gold. Sell your gold. Let me just get that out of the equation. Get it out of the way. If you need money and you need to sell your gold, then do it. But if you don't have to, do not sell your gold. So my friend told me to go visit him in his shop, so I went over there. So he wanted me to take a look at something because somebody was kind of kind of disgusted. He was kind of disgusted. This person. So he wanted me to go to his shop and take a look at this. This is what he wanted me to see today when I went there. I want you to see all those watches that you see there. All those watches that you see there are all Rolex watches. All of them. Every single watch you see there is a Rolex watch, including these two. Okay? All right? Including these two. He wanted me to go take a look at all these watches. So this gentleman has a very healthy watch collection, but he's taken a real big loss on all those watches. It's a total of 15 watches. Most of them are gold watches, 18 karat gold, rose gold, yellow gold, and two-tone. And he bought those watches, and he bought them in the hype era, and he's lost a tremendous amount of money on all those watches. We all know that. We talk about it always. Da, 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 da. So he's taking those watches to my friend because he wants to sell all those watches. People are dumping all their watches, Wicked. People are dumping all their watches, and that is the truth. That is the truth. So, and the reason that he is selling all those 15 watches, don't think is because he needs money, to continue living his life with his family. No. The reason that this gentleman is selling all these watches, and I was there, I looked at all the watches, and they were talking about numbers. And after they finished talking, my friend and the owner of the watches, and I was there, he was talking about all these watches that he bought them in the hype, 2021, 22, the hype era. And people are jumping ship, not because, again, I repeat, not because they need the money. No, he's very disgusted of all the money he has lost on those 15 watches, and he wants to take all the money that he's going to take a loss on all those watches and put it all in. He's going to cash it all in on gold. That's right, on pure gold. He's going to take, and I was talking to him about it. He says, no, I'm not selling these watches because I need money and I'm behind on my mortgage, behind on my car payments, behind on my children's school. I'm selling this because I want to get my money back that I lost. I lost all this money on all these watches. If you look there, you see that he has there, all those watches are of gold. Practically, they're all gold, and some of them he must have paid in that hype era, 60, 75, with date, with the diamond dial, diamond bezel, that hype watch, So he's selling all these watches because he wants to put every single penny back into pure gold to make up all the money that he has lost on these watches. And like a gentleman said right now on our channel, people are just jumping off the ship, jumping off and say, hey man, you know what? I want this money. I want to put it in gold to get my money back. Listen to me, ladies and gentlemen, like myself and like yourself out there, we all have watches, I haven't done that move of taking all my watches and cashing out and putting all my money into gold. I haven't done that. I haven't done it. I just haven't done it. But there is a lot of people right now, they're taking all their watches, they're not pawning them, they're selling them. Give me my money. If the watch was $60,000 and today you're going to give me 40, you're going to give me 32, 31, 30, like an example. So you understand what I'm saying. Today, I told you yesterday, don't pay for a rose gold GMT, rose gold root beer, don't pay more than $33,000. I told you that price, right? So you have an idea. So on that big package of all those watches for that root beer that he has in there, they're offering him for that watch. So you understand, they're offering, it's right there. Right there is the root beer. Right there. That's the root beer. They're offering him $30,000. So you understand, $30,000 for a root beer. Okay? For look at these Daytonas, so you can see what I'm saying. These Daytonas in the hype era, diamond dials, all that good stuff, yellow gold, rose gold. He's getting offered $37,000. $37,000. And Rolex day dates that he has there, he has a couple of them, as you can see. He has one with a diamond bezel. I don't know if you can see it there, diamond bezel, and one just solid gold. He's losing like you won't believe. Probably has $600,000 there on those watches, right? And he's getting an offer, so you understand where this is at, of $365,000. $365,000 is getting an offer. The situation is not good out there, ladies and gentlemen. People don't want to keep on losing money. And people are telling you that the watch market is up and running, everything is gravy. Yeah, it's gravy for them. For them. But not for me and you. These people are hurting. These people don't know what to do. And he told me the gentleman was telling me I was a real big lollipop sucker, for buying all these watches. I was promised the moon, and I crashed. I crashed like a star, dead. So people right now, like Mr. Wicked said, people are jumping off ship. And it doesn't matter if it's, you're thinking they're only selling gold watches. This is what he has. If he has stainless steel, he's getting rid of them. If he has an AP, he's getting rid of them. He wants his money, he wants to put it in gold. And this is the only way he's going to get his money back, he says. That's what he says. So I understood what he was saying, and I thought I should pass you all this information so you could understand where the situation of the watch business is going. People are selling watches left and right. My friend was telling me they didn't come into an agreement. They didn't come into an agreement with a number, because he even said it. You're the first person I have come to see. I'm gonna go now. He's gonna go shop it around now. He's gonna go shop it around to see what other people are gonna offer him for those watches. He's probably gonna get offered probably maybe $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 more. But those are the numbers. Those are the numbers. So, ladies and gentlemen, people are really thinking about gold. So I'm not telling you to sell your watches. I'm not telling you. I'm telling you what I saw today. Somebody that says, I don't need the money. I want to sell all these watches to recuperate all my money that I lost on these watches in the long run. Probably I'll make it back in the next 2 years. I'll make it back in gold. This is what he's telling me. So you guys gotta, open your eyes real well, because things are moving really, really fast. I'm telling you, I'm in shock with these three precious metal materials. Silver, platinum, and gold. I'm in shock. I can't believe the numbers those things are going. And if you ask me which is the one that's really surprising you, I'm gonna be honest. Is that silver at $48? A troy ounce. It's like, wow. It's really, really moving real quickly. Okay, so I'm selling my silver tomorrow. Wow. I don't mean to be personal, Mr. Creative Experiment, but experiments. Do you have a nice amount that you're gonna get, or it's just a nice amount of silver? I mean, because people are like, really, when you hear these stories, you say, wow. People are like, they want. This is the only way, because all of us have been holding on to our watches, thinking that the watch prices are gonna come back Corona beer era. And I'm gonna tell you this, and I'm gonna take full responsibility saying this. There'll be a cold day in hell before you see those prices ever again, ladies and gentlemen. There'll be a cold day in hell, you know? Exactly, exactly. I'm telling you, if you are holding on, and there's people still, ladies and gentlemen, there's people still out there that they're still holding on with that fantasy that this is going to happen all over again, and that we're going to be able to have the prices that we bought Adamas Piquet Jumbo stainless steel blue dial 15202 for $150,000. You're never gonna see that watch for $150,000 ever again, ever. You'll probably see the most you'll probably get is $50,000. The most you'll get. So if you're still dreaming about that sketch that you're gonna get that money back because you're holding on to all these watches, you're not. This man showed me something today. I'm taking the loss already. I'm gonna take the loss and I'm gonna get my money back. I'm not gonna give away, like he said, I'm not gonna give away $300,000. I gotta get them back somehow. $300,000 is a lot of money, guys. It's a lot of money, a lot of money. And he was a very serious man. He was very, very focused. He wasn't thinking about no Louis Vuitton Nike sneakers. He wasn't thinking about a Supreme, sweater, a Montclair, hoodie. This guy was thinking, I want my money back, He's treating me well. Thank you for asking, David. Thank you very much. And so, I saw this today and I said, I should share this with my subscribers the way things are. Because, ladies and gentlemen, what these people are injecting you guys every day is with let's unbox a watch. Let me show you my new strap. Let me show you this. Let me show you that. Papi, la situación está jodida. La situación está jodida. ¿Con qué culo se siente la cucaracha? ¿Con qué culo se siente la cucaracha, caballero? Esto está foqueado. Esto está malo. Esto está malo, 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 malo. When you hear that, I said, wow. And after he left, me and my friends stood talking for a while. I said, wow, man, that's incredible. I said, he wants his money to put it all in gold. He wants to put it all in gold. And you're like saying, well, the people are really, it's a frenzy. It's a frenzy because people are saying this is the only way. People that lost. Let me tell you something. Also today, that I found out and I heard somebody which is very knowledgeable as well, and he told me, listen, off the bat, a Richard Mille watch. So if you guys have Richard Mille watches, I want you to understand this. Off the bat, anybody that comes in with any Richard Mille, right off the bat, that's 50% off right there. If the watch costs $100,000, it's $50,000, and now we're going to argue about what he wants on a pound of that watch. So did you understand what I'm saying? The watch costs $500,000 right off the bat, 50% of that. That's $250,000, and now we're going to argue what price I can give you as a loan for that watch. Because Richard Mille watches are dead. Dead. So if you have any Richard Mille watches, I'm sorry to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, be careful with those watches. Just be careful with those watches, because what I heard today, I said, coño, and no, you're not, like they tell me, you're not far off. You're not far off. It's what it is. You're not far off. I'm not gonna give money on a loan on a watch that I don't know if they're ever gonna come back and pick it up. You don't know what's gonna happen. You don't know if that factory, you don't know what's gonna happen. So be careful, because you're gonna see a lot of Richard Mille prices dropping, and that's when they're gonna get you. Because once you buy it for $125, try to find somebody for $125 for your plastic watch. Your STD watch. See if you can find that. That customer. See if you find a boyfriend for that customer. See if you find a girlfriend for that watch. You probably won't. I'm just telling you what's going on, and you guys should know this so you guys could, see better, and evaluate what you're doing. I haven't said one single time for you guys to sell your watches to go buy. I'm not an advisor. I'm not a financial advisor. This is all allegedly what I'm talking about. Allegedly, This is not nothing that I know. I'm just telling you what I believe, what I think, and what I read. La situación está jodida and people are jumping ship. People are jumping ship. So you got to be real careful, because that watch, what is there? What is that it has? It has, the original. What does it have? It has these parts, these, TPT, NTPT, STD. I don't even know what those are, but those are the parts that I have. So who's gonna buy you that? Where's that at? Where it's not gold, it's not platinum, it's not rhodium, it's not palladium. It's un plástico. So people that they come in with those watches, like, no. It's like I told you. You are in the desert and you need money. And you have a Richard Mille and you have a Rolex Day. Which one are they gonna take? The Richard Mille that costs more than the Rolex, or the Rolex that costs less than the Richard Mille? All day they're gonna take the Rolex. All day. Le van a decir, vete para allá. And so you guys be smart. If you're holding on to that watch, to that John Mayer, green dial, yellow gold that you pay $125,000, and you're thinking that watch is gonna go back up to $125,000, papi, I'm telling you, man, you got it. ADs, wow. ADs answering the calls for Oyster Flex Daytona. Wow. Yeah, I wanted to tell you this so you guys could, walk in the right place and see it and look at it, because I'm telling you, it doesn't seem like we have a lockdown, a government shutdown, lockdown, whatever you call it, and the days are going by. I don't know. I heard yesterday that the longest the lockdown that has been around has been over 30 plus days. That's what I heard. And I'm telling you that every day that is a shutdown, gold is just gonna keep on going up. It's just gonna keep on going. At least that's what I believe. Allegedly, I learned. They told me to say the word allegedly, so I'm repeating it all day long. Allegedly. Everything I'm saying is allegedly. Okay. So that war that's going on with all the ships out there, sitting out there in the sea in front of Venezuela, it's costing the government, for those ships, $8 million a day. And nothing is happening over there. Nothing is happening over there. Nothing is happening over here. The world's upside down, guys. We're in dark times. Estamos en tiempo bien feo. I also want to talk to you about something else. I have always told you guys that I am not a big fan of taking my watches to authorized dealers to get repaired. I'm not. I'm not a big fan of that. I'm not a big fan to taking my Rolex watches to service centers. I'm not. I'm going to tell you something else today. A gentleman bought a Rolex GMT Coke. He bought it from Sotheby's. Beautiful Coke, beautiful. And the dial was perfect. So when he got this watch, he was very happy with the watch. And we as collectors, we can be at times very anal, with our watches. So he bought this watch. He bought from Sotheby's. This is a Rolex GMT Coke. You see it? Let me pass this one. This is the watch. Okay, so that's the watch right there. Okay, that's the watch, the Coke, right? It's the 16710. It's the dial of that watch. Perfect dial. So he got a bug, a bug that he said, I'm gonna take my watch to my AD so he could. Okay, looks suspicious. Okay, so he took his watch, this Rolex GMT Coke, 16710. Let me make sure that's the reference number. I'm sure it is, but let me make sure. The 16710 is the GMT code. He took it over there and he wanted to get it service. You got the watch from Sotheby's, and now you started scratching where don't itch, and you took it to the AD, and they took your watch, and they did what they had to do to it. They give it a tune-up. You wanted a tune-up, you got a tune-up. But every time you take your cars to one of these garages, you might do a tune-up, but you might get a nick on the door, a ding dong here, something, a scratch, something, a little bit of oil in the steering wheel, right? In the cars. And it's the same thing with watches. So he gave the watch to them, and the watch was perfect. I'm telling you that he had a perfect dial. You're probably not going to be able to see it in the picture, but he had a perfect dial. Perfect. Let me see the picture here. And I want to show you something because I want to see if this has happened to you fellas out there. Let me see. Let me look for the best. Okay, this is not even that good, but let me see this one here. Okay, this one here. You probably can't see. It was perfect. It was, perfectly the dial. They had nothing, no dings, no nicks, nothing at all, right? So he picks up the watch from the AD, and when he picks up the watch, you're happy, and, you really don't notice. You just look at it, the naked eye doesn't see really nothing. So he's there in bed, watching the Flintstones, and he starts admiring his beautiful Rolex GMT code with the aluminum bezel, 96, I think that's the year of it. And he starts looking and looking and looking, and he finds this. I'm going to show you the dial. He finds this, and then he circles it so we can see it. And if you see there on the hand stack, you see the hand stack? You see it's like a little round circle there? They damage his perfect dial. That happens basically when you start putting the dial back in and you start, putting pressure. You start putting pressure on the dial. It's dented. It got dented. So the man freaked out. He freaked out. And I told you guys already that if you have to have your own watchmaker. A person that you could, have a one-on-one, conversation. None of this wishy-washy. You take it over there to the Rolex service center. They send it here. I'm not bad-mouthing none of these watchmakers, but some of these watchmakers just came out from the technical school a couple of months ago. And they're dealing with these dials, and they messed up his dial. And it could be that they when they were pressing on it, that could happen. It can also happen with the hand stack when you put it there and it's sometimes too close to the dial as it's going around. It could, I'm telling you what the possibilities can be. I'm not saying that's what it is, So it can be that the hand stacks are spinning around, going around, and they left that mark. Has this happened to any of you with any of your watches that you have taken to your service center or to your AD to get watches repaired or service? Because man, you can see that. Wow, you can see the little circle, not the red one, but inside there, it has like a little. I don't know if you can see it. And also, it looks like an oil stain too, can be an oil stain. But this person, today for being a dodo bird and taking that watch over there, he's going through this situation with that watch. So again, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys don't need to take your watches to those, an old watch, a vintage watch, you're playing with your watch when you take them to those places, to those those service centers. You're playing with your watch. and the gentleman is, he's hurt, and now this the other company saying, where they repaired it, that those things, they happen when you take out the dial to do this, to do that. And I'm gonna be honest, I have heard people tell me that, some of their watches, some newer watches from the millennium, to here now, that they have taken and they have noticed that they have like a little lip, like a little dent on it, and that's not, working properly with that dial. So my advice to you people out there that, you like to take your watches to those, service centers, Papi, you need to find, your own watch repairman. Get there people out there. Papi, you just take any repairman and you put him one of those, una bata, one of those coats that say, Kino watches, and that's it. You're Kino watches. It doesn't matter. You put somebody's name Kino and it's Kino watches. You know what I'm trying to say. So we don't have to get into names, Or that watch company, yeah, he has a little coat on. He's a specialist fixing watches. So anybody can be one of those watch repair guys. Just put them a jacket and that's it. They're one. So you guys, if you have all those watches, they're vintage, they're older watches. My advice to you: don't take those watches to those service centers because they're butchers. They're gonna butcher your watch. All right? They're gonna butcher your watch. I hope you understand what I'm saying. And I don't think nobody even said a word if they do have the lab coat. Thank you thank you, Creative Experiment. This is your channel, Creative. You have to help me out. Anybody can put a lab coat on. And you put a lab coat, you put here, that's it. He's the best. And he just came out of the school 2 weeks ago. And he's playing with your dial, that the dial is worth more than the watch. I mean, it was, he bought it from Sotheby's, the watch. And they gave the dial the highest level you can give on that dial. And when he got it back, it was like this. So if you don't have to take your watches to no service center or to no authorized dealer, don't do it porque te lo van a comer. They're going to butcher it. Te lo van a hacer mierda. All right, guys? I'm going to give you a couple of watches here for some of my subscribers. It's going to be a short show today because I wanted to tell you this quickly about what this gentleman did with all his watches, or what he's doing. He's selling them. He's selling all his watches to buy gold to try to get his money back that way, because he knows that he is not going to get his money back waiting to see if this watch right here is going to go back to $25,000. I have this watch. This watch is never going to go to $25,000. Never. Not 25, not 30, not 35. It's not. So if you're waiting for that, te vas a poner viejo esperando que llegue a ese precio. It's not going to happen. All right, guys? Be smart. And stop giving your watches to those service centers and, those authorized dealers that pick up your watch. All right? I'm going to give you these watches as a watch market update, and we're going to call it quits, and we're going to go all home to do our thing. Our first watch is a Rolex Oyster Flex Meteorite Dial, reference number 126518LN, yellow gold. Beautiful looking watch. This is the new reference. It just came out. It came out some time ago. It came out. And I'm going to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, they're asking for that watch out there. They're asking, 99, 102, 103, those numbers. And I'm going to tell you, because I'm stupid like that, don't pay for that beautiful Rolex Daytona Oyster Flex with a meteorite dial, yellow gold, reference number 126518LN. Don't pay more than $86,500. $86,500. Don't pay more than that. Don't pay more than that. Our next watch is an AP Royal Oak Perpetual Calendar, 41 millimeter, It's yellow gold. And when you hear this always on these APs, when you hear these letters, it should be a ding in your head, Reference number 26574, B as in A, B as in boy, A as in apple. When you see BA, basically this is like a grail. This is a grail watch. It's a monster watch. It's a big statement piece. Big statement piece, collector's choice, collector's grade, collector's grave, collector's unit, all those things they put on you guys to get you dizzy. And ladies and gentlemen, the price of that watch is $111,900. 111,900. And ladies and gentlemen, don't pay for that watch. Don't pay what they're telling you out there. 165, 170. Don't pay that. Pay for that watch. Don't pay more, and I mean don't pay more than $143,000, all right? This is a perpetual, one of those perpetual calendars. It's a beautiful one. Yellow gold with a blue dial. It's unbelievable, this watch. It really is a grail, okay? Pero no sean bobo. Be smart. Be smart with your money and start giving your money away. If you are going to buy watches and they're asking you for $170,000, remember, cash is king. You have the cash, you control the conversation. No matter what. No matter if they tell you you're crazy. No, I'm not crazy. I got the money. Why are you calling me crazy? I got the money. No, but you're crazy offering me that. I can offer you whatever I want. And you can offer whatever you want. You understand me? You can offer whatever you want, and they can offer whatever they want. They put a price on their goods, and I put a price on the goods. I don't care what they say. Ustedes son los lambones que se ponen así. Usted no ha entendido esa math. You haven't understood that mathematics. You can say whatever you want. Juan Nieves, why do you say those prices? Jimmy, why do you say those prices? You follow me? Why do you say $190,000 and I say 143? Because I could, and because I'm stupid like that. You follow me? Ustedes son lambones que you become shy. You become shy. I'm gonna insult somebody. When I go buy a car, I say, this is how much I want to pay. Oh my God, you're crazy. Come on, give me a realistic, offer. Then you start talking, and that's how it is. Today, what's more powerful is gold. Gold is more powerful than a watch. Much more powerful. So you guys be smart. Don't be afraid to making offers. Cash is king. You have the cash, papi. You control the conversation. Patek Philippe Aquanaut, rose gold, 5968. Chrono, 42.5 millimeter casing, black dial, black rubber. Beautiful machine, ladies and gentlemen. Beautiful. And you want to hear the retail price of this machine? It's $97,306 plus your Uncle Sam's taxes. Okay? Plus your Uncle Sam's taxes. Don't pay for that watch. You do whatever you want. You can continue maintaining these people's lifestyle. Esta gente tan frito, papi. These people don't even make no more content. Months go by, they don't have no more content. They cannot continue flim-flamming you and fleecing you any longer. Don't you know that I have dismantled, rattled the Muppet Boiler Room secondary gray watch market channels and dealers? Me and Sweet Kid Kino have done all that for you guys. We have saved you guys from, spending your euros, your shekels, your plata, your chavo, your money, your cash. You understand me? Your chelitos. We've helped you guys out. We've helped you guys save money, your children's tuition money. Por ser lambones y palomos. Son un bonche de palomos y lambones. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to give you another watch here. It's a Rolex date, ombre dial, ombre green dial, ombre, that ombre green dial. Unbelievable. 238, 40 millimeter. Retail price in that watch, ladies and gentlemen, is $44,200. $44,200. And ladies and gentlemen, do yourself a favor and don't pay for that watch. This is my last watch of the evening. I will be saying goodbye to you guys until another show. Don't pay for that watch more than $54,000 and dropping. You do whatever you want. I'm telling you, if you have cash, you're the king. You control. Tente tan pelado, papi. Tan pelado. There was a show here that nobody even went to the show. Nobody. Porque no hay dinero, papi. There's no more SBA loans, no more PPP loans, no more government grants, no more unemployment checks, no more whatever you want to call it. There's no more. The free money se terminó. El vacilón se terminó, muchacho. All right, guys? Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoy this Watch Market Update show. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video. And like me and Sweet Kid Kino say always, take care and brush your hair. Peace.